What first date behavior is a deal breaker? Having it be only about them irks me. They'll answer your questions with long stories about themselves and rarely ask anything in return. If they do, you'll get about one sentence in and they'll interrupt you with another one of their stories. They somehow always feel like the date went great and they had a great time, and are surprised you are not equally as excited. Also, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I hate overly sappy romantic gestures. Like insisting on holding your hands over the table whilst looking into your eyes for extended periods of time. When you try and get your hands back, talk about something else or break eye contact, they get offended and just try again, grabbing at your hands and pulling you back, as if he's trying to hypnotize you and you're not cooperating. I think when they don't even ask you about yourself. Maybe that sounds weird, but I had a date that would be constantly talking about her life and friends and whatnot. I would ask her questions too, but she never once asked me about anything. Possessive behavior. If this is how you act with someone you've just met, how would a relationship with you be? Undefined. I had a guy buy me a toothbrush after a third date so I can use it when I'm staying over at his house. He also wanted to see me every day of the week after the first date and got insulted if I denied. Then he would ask about every little detail that I did when I was not seeing him. I'm just not that social person and I don't want to see anyone 24/7 for 4 days in a row wasn't a good enough reason. Oh, and he also pressured me to tell him my Reddit account. The last one was the deal breaker, wasn't it? I'd give someone the keys to my house before Reddit account. TLDR. When he hands you his wallet with lots of cash in it to show off. When he takes you to a strip club. When his friends show up on your date and when they spike your drink. Went on a first date a few years ago. He took me to an exclusive members-only club. Bought the most expensive bottles of wine. Handed me his wallet to pay for the wine. Then excused himself to go to the bathroom. Also, I could see how much money he had. He had well over 2,000 in there. I thought that was weird, but chalked it up to him trying to impress me in a weird way. I wasn't. After that, he took me to a strip club where the bar staff knew him by name. I was incredibly uncomfortable. But it got even worse when 2 of his friends just coincidentally bumped into him at the club. Sat with us. Then hired strippers to sit on their laps. I stayed 5 minutes. Then excused myself to the bathroom. The plan was to come up with an excuse to leave as soon as I got back. I returned. Took another sip of my champagne which I'd stupidly left unprotected before heading to the bathroom. Stayed another 5 minutes. Then said I had to leave. They tried everything they could to get me to stay. But I refused. As soon as I stood up, I felt lightheaded. And finally understood why. My drink had been spiked. I panicked and walked off, with my date following me desperately begging me to stay a little longer. He then offered to get in the taxi with me and escort me home. I refused. I got to the taxi rank, got into a taxi, and we had a heated conversation with him offering to escort me home and me responding with I'm a big girl and can take care of myself. Taxi driver must have sensed something was off and he intervened telling him I'd said no. And that was that. He drove off. Asked for my address. Got me home safe and sound. By then I was passed out in the back of the taxi. I don't remember how I got indoors. But I remember waking up on the bathroom floor the next morning feeling perfectly fine. No sign of a hangover. Or anything which solidified my belief I was never drunk to begin with and was definitely spiked. In the voice of comic book guy. Worst first date ever. That is completely f***ed up. Glad you got home safe. Could have been a disaster. Immediately starting with the I love you attitude. Had a girl tell me she thought she loved me about halfway through our first date once. I brushed it off as flirty banter, then toward the end of our meal she says, "You know how I know you love me? You didn't say that you didn't love me when I said I loved you." She sounds crazy. That was my conclusion too. And the reason for no second date. Had another girl tell me she wanted to pull out my leg hairs and eat them, then stick a pencil in the end of my dick to keep the good stuff from coming out. Never even went on a date with that one. That was just after a couple weeks of casual conversation at work. Then when I didn't really respond with anything other than an okay, she told me I was terrible at flirting and stormed off. What the actual feep? They won't stop talking about their ex. Had his ex call 4 times within 15 minutes. Yeah. Noped right out of that one. I had this happen. It is only in hindsight that I now realize it probably wasn't his ex. It was his girlfriend and he was cheating on her. Once, I was talking to this girl online. And things were going pretty well. So we decided to go for dinner. I showed up to the place 5 minutes early. So I waited. And kept waiting. Texted her 15 minutes after we were scheduled to meet. But didn't get a response. Waited for another 45 minutes, then left. She messaged me later saying that she wasn't there because she lives in Indonesia. I live in New Jersey. What the feep? I don't understand people sometimes. Indiana? No. I said Indonesia. Ordering your food to go and quietly watching me eat while you wait to leave. Showing up late and not texting ahead of time. You're not playing it cool if you're 20 minutes late without saying anything. The amount of anxiety that would give me. Especially as I'm a person who has to be 15 minutes early. Forgetting to take off your wedding ring. Finding out that the reason why they asked you out is because they wanted to make their ex jealous. To make it worse, she had her friend invite the ex-boyfriend as well. Taking me to a multi-level marketing seminar. Actually happened. Listen. You can be your own boss and set your hours. Just give me 50% of all sales you make, and if you don't make 100,100 sales per month, I will have to take your children as collateral. You'll take my children as collateral? Whoa. Baby. Don't threaten me with a good time. I didn't know this until recently. Picking wax out of your ears and sprinkling it around. Don't. Just don't. Okay. What am I supposed to season my dinner with? Dandruff like normal people. Texting their ex. I went on a date and the guy was texting his ex-fiancée, but then he clarified he has 2 ex-fiancées. Introducing me to your boyfriend. Been there. Do you mind if my boyfriend joins us? It won't be weird, I promise. She was wrong. What happened? Sword fight. Smelly. Greasy hair. And no effort in appearance. If the first date isn't important enough for you to even shower, then how important will the relationship be to you? 100% agree. Last date I went on pre-COVID. He turned up unwashed and in a wrinkly shirt. The shirt didn't really bother me. The deal breaker was his pungent body odor. LOL. Before I got married, my old roommate would always make comments if I was getting the house/my wardrobe ready pre-date. I didn't even know we had a clothes iron. You own cologne? Uh-oh. The house is spotless. You have a date? Or are your parents coming over? I still generally have wrinkly clothes. But I am kinda crazy about trying to always smell good. They say smell is one of our stronger memory triggers. Showed up late getting all done up told via text but was in a ratty hoodie. And her clothes smelled musty. Super shy. Quiet. Barely spoke. Even when asked innocuous questions. Until the movie started. Then she wouldn't shut the beep up. Kept staring at me. And asking the dumbest questions like how'd you get so tall? Do you like movies? So. Yeah, that sounds like someone who popped something that took a little while to kick in. Damn. Absolutely this. Maybe even anxiety meds kicking in. Making me do all the work. Conversation-wise. I don't mind being the lead driver, but you need to at least pull your own weight. I've been on some dates that felt more like interviews. I would try everything I could to get an actual conversation going, but they ended up as Q&A sessions. This is absolutely a huge one for me. Nerves on a first date are one thing. I completely understand being slow to warm up in the feeling out process. But it's an entirely different thing for them to literally offer nothing conversation-wise. And only answer your attempts with short dead-end responses. What do you do with that? Sometimes I'll just start sharing stuff on my own initiative. It feels narcissistic, but I want them to have some knowledge about me, haha.